Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I'm doing a fun hybrid here of using my mouse, the track point, on my laptop, and then I have to switch to an external keyboard because last night, in my semi-delirious state, after coming out of general anesthetic, I was trying to update CAD, and I managed to type two lines that were quite sane, and then the third line looks like some kind of gibberish. And I didn't realize that until the morning, but when she says, what does it say here? She says, I'm on the road, missed your call, how do you feel? And then the second line is, don't understand the code. Don't understand the code. So I go back and look at what I wrote. It's kind of, oh, that must have been the keyboard. So what happened is I had a second IV and it came out and I didn't notice. And so it was dripping electrolytes and blood all over the place, and that ended up in the keyboard of my laptop. This sucks because I just replaced this 2 months ago for the same type of problem, except it was tea in Delhi that had ruined that keyboard. Anyway, so I put a plea out today for a USB keyboard, and 2 people showed up today with USB keyboards, so I'm in good shape.
It's a good thing I didn't bring a third.
Well, I don't know. This one's missing a caps lock key, so my preference would have been the ThinkPad USB keyboard that I've got at home that has a track point.
Right.
I hate mice, you see, so I actually have a laptop keyboard on my desktop.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't think I have one. A spare one with a mouse embedded.
I do.
But right.
I do, but it's at home on a shelf above my electronic workbench in the basement.
Right.
So I have a house key here, so anything's possible.
It's true.
So yeah, so at least I've got my office here that doubles as a phone because I can use my earplugs and actually use LinPhone with a VoIP MS account that I've had for 3 years and be able to phone people, and they don't know the difference.
That's great. So what happened?
So what happened? Okay, well, let me go and find the picture. Recent picture of the vehicle.
I'll get your ice. They're hot.
All right, so there's, 3. Let's start with this one. All right, so come and have a look at this. So these are the 2 tall bikes that I've got. That one I've had for about 15 years, and it's been working fine. This one I just got about 2 years ago, and it's been parts in my garage pending assembly, and I finally managed to get it fully assembled about 2 weeks ago, a day before the kids came back from a year in India.
Right.
Because I wanted that project done. I didn't want to have it lingering with parts like strewn around the garage. Anyway, so fine. There's been about 18 people who've test ridden this bike in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'm really grateful that it wasn't one of them who made it fail and that it was me who took that fall.
Yeah.
So my analysis of it, it broke right about here and there. So there's one donor frame there, and there's a second donor frame here. They're both BMX, probably kids' BMX bikes. So what happened, if this is one diamond frame and this is another diamond frame, they're kind of like this. And I think what happened is I was really hammering away on the bike trying to accelerate into traffic. And that was a lot more force than it would have been expected to take. And so I'm going along, and it finally failed like that and crumpled. And then the middle of the bottom donor frame crumpled like that and then fell over this way. And so I fell from 6 feet onto my left hip.
Right.
So fortunately, there was a woman behind me.
And that was on St. Patrick, huh?
It was on the center lane, eastbound of the St. Patrick Bridge.
Right.
Okay. Fortunately, there was a woman behind me who was about, 65, fairly small woman who didn't look aggressive at all.
Right.
She was keeping her distance, and it must have been a spectacular view that she had for this whole thing. And she simply had been keeping her distance, and she simply stopped when it happened,
Right.
shielding me from any oncoming traffic.
So fortunate.
Yeah, it was, you know, as circumstances go, it was.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed, it's a couple of people have pointed out, and it hadn't really occurred to me, is that I'm really lucky it didn't happen while I was riding on the sidewalk on a bridge.
Right. Because you could have fallen into the river. Yeah. Yeah.
Although that might have been a better outcome.
Depends where you landed. Yeah.
In the water?
Yeah. How deep is it there?
About 2 meters.
Okay. Then you'd be fine. Probably.
But yeah, I mean, the Cummings Bridge, it's not nearly as deep, especially now.
Right.
Now it's like barely deep enough to be able to get the canoe through.
Right.
So yeah, it's pretty shallow, and that would be bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there were some people that came along. This one guy came along, introduced himself as Sam, and said, "Hi, I'm an ex-army medic." Blah blah blah. It's kind of cool, great. So he was sort of plotting things and just to try and determine
Yeah.
the nature, whatever. You hit your head and how's your back? He tried sort of pushing on points on my pelvis, which was all fine because it was all the points upper part that was all fine.
Right.
It was just the leg itself. I did try to move, and it's just kind of like, just let me lie here. I'm a lot more comfortable just lying here.
Yeah.
And you know, it was fine. There was another medic who came along, and then he got all aggressive with the other medic about taking control of the situation. I've got PTSD and and kind of relax, Sam. Just, it's not worth it. Just calm down. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so the police finally came along, and they stuck around. The ambulance was supposed to be 40 minutes. So the police said, "Well, would you like us to take you home?" And I said, "My house is right there. I can see it through the trees.
Right.
It's about 200 feet away." So they're kind of like, "Okay." So they put the bike in the back of one cruiser, and me and Annabelle. Oh yeah. So the second medic who came along, he offered me his phone. Said, "Do you want to call anybody?" He said, "Yeah, can I call my kids? I just want to reassure them."
Yeah.
So I called Annabelle, picked up, and I assured her and said, "Yeah, don't worry. I've had a crash. I'm safe now, and police are here, and everything's fine."
Right.
Well, not everything, but as fine as it could be. And so she came over and saw me on the bridge.
That's wonderful.
So then she helped me get into the back of the cruiser. I put a lot of weight on her shoulders.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't put any at all on mine.
Right.
Got into the back of the cruiser with her. The other one they very slowly went up to Coburg and then, into our back lane. The cruiser, the cops were rather doubtful about this because they figured it's kind of like, that's not big enough. And it's kind of, yeah, it's just lots of trees. Just you'll fit, no problem. I've seen an arborist truck drive down the back lane. You'll be fine.
And police officers aren't used to driving down back alleys in Ottawa. There just aren't that many of them.
Of course not. Anyway, so they pulled up by the garage, and Nico met us there. We put the bike in the garage. Well, I didn't, but the bike got put in the garage. And then these two burly policemen helped me in the back door, and I nearly fainted from the pain when I tried to get in the back door and up the back stairs.
Yeah.
Because I put some weight on it, which was a mistake. I should have just let them carry me up.
Right.
Anyway, so they finally carried me through the house and sat me down on the swinging bench on the front porch. And I just sat there very comfortably, because I could sit comfortably.
Yeah.
I just couldn't put any weight on it. And then finally, they left and said, "You'll be all right now." I said, "I'll be fine. If the ambulance comes here, they'll be able to." Yeah, anyway, so I got the kids to get my bag and my camera bag with, my whole hip card and all of that kind of stuff. The ambulance slowly drove down the road, and I just kind of, I think you're looking for me. So they came up and they seemed to be in good humor and took me to the general.
Right.
So, and then got checked in there, and then they took a bunch of x-rays. They then took me back and took some CT scans where they could get a far more detailed image.
Right.
And then took me back to get a couple more x-rays and said, "You're going to the civic trauma ward."
Right.
Right, because this was not anything simple.
No.
So anyway, so that was Thursday, but just before 10 p.m.
Okay.
So this collision happened at Thursday 11 a.m.
Right.
So Thursday 10 p.m. I got transferred here,
Right.
Civic. I was actually born in this hospital. Funny. It feels sort of, not quite deja vu, but a full circle sort of
Right.
trip, adventure.
At least a stop in at the
Sure.
yes.
At least a stop in, yeah.
Yeah.
So then they put me on an IV at midnight because they assumed that I was going to get operated the next day. And I think I'm muddling days here, but I think it was like 3:30 the next day when they said, here, have some solid food,
Right.
which means that I got bumped from the operating schedule. So my situation was complicated because there was at least 4 pieces in there. Maybe, I think there was at least 5.
It's broken in 4 or 5
Distinct-
pieces.
Distinct pieces, yeah, that were broken. But I was
And just on
able-
one side, or is it in?
Just one side.
Right.
Once, in fact, it was the inside of the left.
Right.
Yeah, only. It was stable, and sitting, I was comfortable. So, like pain level, they're using a scale of 1 to 10, and I'm kind of like, I don't know, 3 to 4,
Right.
with no painkiller. Right, so it's kind of like, okay, this is manageable.
Yeah.
And at times when I was lying in bed and I couldn't move, my back started to act up, and it was like a 4 or 5 or something like that, and it was masking the pain from the hip joint
Right.
break. And they
The
were kind
nerves
of
are so
stunned.
strange, huh?
They were kind of stunned that it's kind of, you've got that much messed up. Well, come and have a look at the picture of the scan.
This is the
So this is from like 30 feet away with a wide angle lens on a full frame camera, and I was able to pull that up.
right.
So there's the end of the femur. The
Yeah.
femur actually comes out to here and then down. There's the front of the left side of the pelvis.
Okay.
So there's this symmetrical thing also comes out over here.
Right.
Okay. So there's one distinct chunk. There's another piece here. There's a third piece. There's a fourth piece.
Jeez.
And there's another one that was in behind.
Right.
So it was complicated. They tested me for bladder problems to make sure I wasn't peeing blood.
right.
They made sure that I could feel all of my toes and that there was a proper pulse in that leg, and compared the two, everything seemed to be perfectly normal.
Right. So
Um,
lucky. Jeez.
So lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, on so many levels.
Right.
So many levels. Anyway, so it was stable, and so the first day I got bumped. The second day, it was, I forget what time, but I certainly missed breakfast and lunch. I missed breakfast 3 days in a row
Right.
because I was on the list.
Well-
Lunch I missed at least 1, if not 2 days.
You might want to miss those breakfasts more often from the sounds of it, but
Yeah, I think that was complicated by the fact that I was so parched this morning
right.
that the eggs tasted like sawdust and the cheese tasted like paste. But I figured that I was, raccoon-like because I was dehydrated and I didn't have enough saliva to be able to wet my food, and
Yeah.
so I needed to add water. So raccoons don't have saliva glands,
Right.
right? So they go down to the water and they wash their food. We witnessed this a lot of times right in front of our house.
That's
I
fun.
shouldn't say a lot of times, but we witnessed this in front of our house.
Right.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
yeah, so yesterday. Yesterday. So I was on the IV the night before again, and then just before noon, about 10 minutes to noon, they said, "Oh, you better eat some solid food." And I'm kind of like, "Not again." All right. So I started eating. I had some Chex rice cereal
Right.
for breakfast that I had. In fact, it was the leftover breakfast from the day before. I
Okay.
hadn't eaten, so I ate that just dry, no milk. And then one of my darling friends was bugging me about, what can I bring you? And I said, hospital food's awful. I'm kind of like, yeah, but it's food, it's
Right.
no big deal. And she's kind of like, really, can't bring you anything? And I'm kind of like, I don't know. It's like, I've got enough to eat. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
What are you really craving? And I'm kind of like, okay, you're going to push me? Cashews.
Yeah.
Kind of like, okay, I'll go to Costco and get you some cashews. And she came back that night with a kilo of cashews.
That's lovely.
It's very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was very nice. Thank you, Celia. You're a darling. So I'm eating cashews. It's about 1 or 2 minutes after noon, and they had ordered me lunch.
Right.
And so then she comes rushing in, the nurse comes rushing in saying, "Stop eating cashews." And she took the jar of cashews away from me and put them on the table. All right, I guess I'm not eating cashews. Anyway, so it turns out that Dennis got my lunch because he was looking at the thing later on and says, "I don't know, I got some guy named Briggs. His lunch isn't coming."
And I bumped you in front of you again.
Well, that's yeah. Well, so that's the other part of the story was that morning.
Just hold on a second. I'm just gonna stop, and then the video's like I think it's on a 15-minute time limit.